Welcome back, Warner fam. Today I'll recap a fun family comedy film, The Garfield. Grab your popcorn and let your imagination run wild. The movie kicks off with Garfield chilling at home, ordering pizza using delivery drones. But before diving into his feast, he turns to us, the viewers, to share his backstory. Get ready, because it's quite the tale. As a tiny kitten, Garfield was left alone by his father, Vic, in a dark alley. Hungry and all alone, he wandered across the street and stumbled upon an Italian restaurant. There, he spotted a young guy named John Arbuckle sitting by himself. John, noticing Garfield's sad eyes, sneaked him inside through the window. John decided to share a little pepperoni from his pizza. But bam, Garfield gobbled the whole thing in just 2 seconds, and that wasn't enough. He chowed down on everything he could find, including food from a birthday party happening in the restaurant. After the food frenzy, John tried to sneak Garfield out in, what else? A box of lasagna. John thought he'd leave the kitten behind, but after seeing that Garfield had nowhere else to go, he couldn't do it. And this is where Garfield proudly declares, "This is when I adopted John." John decides to move into a bigger house to give Garfield more space to roam. Not long after, he brings home a new furry friend, Odie the dog. Garfield and Odie hit it off right away. With Odie, the perfect lookout, by his side, Garfield makes sure most of John's food mysteriously disappears. Garfield thinks life couldn't get any better. Life is sweet, he says. Well, except for those terrible Mondays, of course. But just when everything seems perfect, things take a turn, and their cozy little world is about to come crashing down. Late one night, Garfield and Odie sneak into the kitchen for a snack. And by snack, I mean nearly half the fridge. But before they can finish their midnight feast, 2 tough-looking dogs, Roland and Nolan, barge in. In a flash, Garfield and Odie are snatched. When they wake up, they're hanging upside down in some creepy, abandoned place. Hours pass, and just when they think it can't get worse, a shadowy figure appears. The stranger cuts them loose, and Garfield's eyes widen in shock. It's Vic, his long-lost father. But Garfield isn't exactly thrilled. He believes Vic left him all those years ago, and doesn't hold back his feelings. Just as things get heated, danger strikes again. Roland and Nolan's boss steps in, a sinister Persian cat named Jinx. And trust me, this cat means serious trouble. Jinx sneers as she reveals her plan. She kidnapped Garfield to lure Vic into a trap. Then, she dives into her backstory, one filled with dreams and grudges. Long ago, Jinx wanted to be a famous cat. She entered a talent show, but when the spotlight hit, she froze with stage fright and lost. Embarrassed and forgotten, she met Vic, who led a crew of street-smart cats. Together, they survived by stealing food, especially milk. One day, they raided a farm for milk, but things went wrong. Jinx got caught and sent to the pound. Vic tried to save her, but it was too late. Locked up for years, Jinx's heart filled with anger. Roland and Nolan eventually broke her out, and now she wants payback. Her demand? Vic must steal back 1 quart of milk for every day she spent locked up, over 6,000 quarts. If he refuses, she threatens to have her dogs tear them apart. To prove she's not bluffing, Jinx turns to her henchbird, the one who helped kidnap Garfield and Odie, and devours him right in front of them. Even though Garfield wants nothing to do with Vic, Roland and Nolan leave him no choice. They force Garfield and Odie to join Vic on his big heist. It's go time, whether Garfield likes it or not. Their first mission? Jump onto a moving train. Vic's brilliant idea? Launch Garfield from a tree like a furry cannonball. Poor Garfield goes flying through the air, bouncing off everything in his path. Mailboxes, signs, and even a parade float of himself. Finally, he crash lands right into a pile of manure inside the train. Why does it always have to be manure? Garfield groans. Back home, John realizes something's wrong. Garfield and Odie are missing. He tries to get help but ends up stuck on hold. For a whole day, let's just say customer service isn't his friend. The trio finally arrives at Lactose Farms, ready to pull off the big heist. Roland and Nolan keep a close watch, making sure they don't try anything funny. Sneaking inside won't be easy, so they need a plan. While scouting the area, Garfield and Vic spot Otto, a massive bull who used to be one of the farm's mascots. He's standing all alone, looking pretty down. Odie notices Otto's sad eyes are fixed on a cow in the distance, his beloved girlfriend, Ethel. Turns out, she's the other half of the farm's famous mascot duo. Otto explains that when the farm was sold, the new company put him out to pasture, separating him from Ethel. Now he just watches her from afar. Heartbroken, Vic sees an opportunity. He promises Otto they'll help reunite him with Ethel if he helps them get inside the farm. Otto, filled with hope, agrees. Looks like this heist just got a powerful new ally. Otto lays out an elaborate plan to help the trio sneak into Lactose Farms. But there's a problem. Garfield and Vic can't stop bickering. Every step they take, they mess up because they're too busy arguing. Finally, Otto has had enough. He ties them both up with a vine and tells them they can't get out until they learn to work together. At first, they just use the vine to try and smack each other around. But then, Garfield's frustration boils over. He vents to Vic, asking why he abandoned him all those years ago. Vic takes a deep breath and finally tells Garfield the truth. On that night, Vic had left to find food for them. He had to wait until a restaurant worker left so he could sneak some scraps. But when he returned, he saw Garfield inside the restaurant with John. Vic realized John could give Garfield a better life than he ever could. Vic then shares something surprising. He never really left. He used to visit Garfield often, watching him through the window of John's house while sitting in an oak tree. "I never stopped caring," he says softly. Garfield's eyes widen, and for the first time, he sees things differently. He forgives Vic, and they finally share a real moment of understanding. Odie, tired of waiting, cuts them loose. Otto nods, impressed. "You two might need 17 years to get this right," he jokes. "But since we've only got 48 hours, you're ready now." Roland and Nolan rush back to Jinx to give her the news. Garfield, Vic, and Odie are ready for the heist. Jinx grins. Her plan is falling into place. But she's not done yet. She picks up a phone and makes a call to the local animal control station. On the other end is Marge Malone, an officer who takes her job very seriously. Marge isn't just any officer. She's got a unique talent. She can understand animal sounds and translate them into human speech. So, when Jinx starts meowing her plan, Marge listens carefully. A heist at Lactose Farms? Marge's eyes narrow. She won't let any animal outsmart her. Without wasting a second, she grabs her gear and heads out. The chase is on. The trio sneaks into the farm by hiding inside children's backpacks. It's a tight fit, but they make it work. Once inside, they crawl through the air vents, hoping to stay unnoticed. They drop down into a part of the factory called the Acorn, a place Otto warned them about. "Stay away from there," he had said. But Garfield, being Garfield, slips and falls right through. He lands with a squishy plop on a giant block of cheddar. But there's a big problem. The cheese is headed straight into the processing line. Odie barks in panic and tries to pull Garfield out, but it's no use. At the last second, Vic jumps in and saves them both from becoming cheese slices. Just when they finally reach the truck loaded with milk, their luck runs out. Marge Malone finds them. She stands there, holding the keys with a smug smile. Going somewhere? The three scramble, trying every trick to outsmart her. But in the chaos, Vic grabs the keys and makes a run for it. He drives off with the truck, leaving Garfield and Odie behind. Marge captures the two friends and hauls them off to the pound. Garfield feels crushed all over again. Was Vic just using them the whole time? Outside, Otto finally spots Ethel and tries to reach her. But Marge's fellow officers chase him off with cattle prods. His dream of reuniting with Ethel slips further away. At the pound, Garfield and Odie meet some unexpected faces, the other cats from Vic's old crew. There's Olivia, a sharp-tongued tabby, and Snoop Cat, a laid-back, smooth-talking feline. They're not happy. Just like Garfield, they believe Vic abandoned them long ago. As they swap stories, something clicks for Garfield. The crew mentions Vic sneaking off to visit someone at a house. He even carved notches in an oak tree each time he went. Garfield's eyes widen. That someone was him. Vic had been watching over Garfield all along. We've been lied to, Garfield realizes, his heart pounding. Just then, John bursts into the pound, looking frantic. The staff called him after scanning Odie's tag. Garfield blinks in surprise. "I have a tag?" He lifts a paw and finds it buried deep in the folds of his neck. Who knew? John scoops them up, relieved to see his two furry friends. But Garfield isn't thinking about food or naps this time. He's thinking about Vic and the truth waiting outside the pound. Vic drives the milk truck straight to Jinx, thinking he's finally done what she wanted. But Jinx isn't pleased with the milk. Instead, she grins slyly and reveals the truth. The milk wasn't the real prize. What she really wanted was to make Vic suffer. With Vic finally in her grip, Jinx's plan is complete. She smirks, knowing he's about to be sent to the pound as payback. As the truck comes to a halt, Jinx decides that now that Vic is where she wants him, she's got other, even worse plans in store for him. Vic's troubles are just beginning. Garfield is over the moon to be back home. He can already taste the lasagna in his mind, imagining the perfect, cheesy feast. But as he walks around the yard, something catches his eye: the oak tree in the backyard. Curious, Garfield climbs up the tree. When he reaches the top, he sees it. Hundreds of notches carved into the bark. Each notch marks a time Vic came to visit him. Garfield's heart swells with emotion as he realizes that Vic really did care about him all along. With a big sigh, Garfield hops down and looks at Odie. We need to find Vic. He knows what he has to do now. John's not going to be happy, but Garfield doesn't care. He and Odie are off on a new adventure, ready to make things right with Vic. Garfield and Odie sneak back to Jinx's hideout, hoping to figure out their next move. When they sneak inside, they find a huge board covered in notes and plans. It's all about Jinx's evil scheme, and it's worse than they thought. Jinx plans to throw Vic off a train as it passes over a bridge. Garfield's heart races. He can't let that happen to Vic. The two quickly call Otto for help. They remind him about their promise to reunite him with Ethel, but now they need his help to save Vic first. Help us and we'll keep our word, Garfield says. Otto agrees, knowing this is their chance to make things right. Now, they're all in this together. Otto catches up to Garfield and Odie just in time and launches Garfield toward the speeding train. With Odie's help, they quickly call in a fleet of pizza drones to help them take on Roland and Nolan. Garfield flies through the air on a pizza box, zooming past the dogs and causing them to crash into each other. Finally, Garfield reaches Vic. As the train approaches the bridge, Garfield shoves Vic off, and the two fall toward the net Otto set up below. But the net is too tight, and instead of landing safely, they bounce right back into Roland and Nolan's grasp. Meanwhile, Jinx watches from the train, ready to see them both fall to their doom. But something unexpected happens. Garfield and Vic, having gone through so much together, finally reconcile. This moment of honesty and friendship touches Roland and Nolan, so much that they decide to turn on Jinx. Jinx, furious, pushes all four of them off the train. Just as they fall, Otto swoops in to save them. He catches Garfield, Vic, Roland, and Nolan, while Jinx, still laughing, gets tangled in the net herself. Now it's her turn to face the consequences. Garfield keeps his promise and comes up with a plan to make things right. He arranges a trade with Marge. In exchange for Ethel, Marge gets a caged Jinx, who is now caught for her part in the heist. Marge knows that Jinx has caused a lot of trouble, and this is the perfect way to stop her. As the trade happens, Otto and Ethel have a heartfelt reunion. They are finally together again, and it's clear that their love for each other is stronger than ever. The two of them share a happy moment as they realize they're free from all the chaos. Garfield, Vic, and Odie head back to John's house after everything that happened. Vic says goodbye to them, ready to leave. Garfield and Odie go inside. But after a little while, Garfield starts to feel differently. He runs outside and climbs up to the oak tree where Vic is, inviting him to stay for dinner. The two share a big hug, showing that they've made peace at last. Inside, John is less than thrilled when he finds a bill for all the pizza drones Garfield used during their adventure. He's not happy about it at all, but Garfield just looks at him with a big grin. As time goes on, Vic keeps coming over for dinner more and more. Eventually, John decides to fully adopt him. Soon, John's friends, neighbors, and even some of Garfield's cat friends from the neighborhood show up to celebrate Garfield's birthday. The movie ends with John proudly hanging a portrait of himself and his pets on the wall, showing they are one big, happy family. Garfield, Vic, Odie, and John all smile together, knowing that no matter what, they've found a place where they belong. After the credits roll, a classic Garfield comic strip pops up. In it, Garfield looks directly at the audience and asks, "Are you still watching?" I bet you're just waiting for a sequel. He then gives his signature smirk, and the comic ends with him lounging lazily on a couch, looking as relaxed as ever. So, which amazing animated movie should we recap next? Drop your suggestions in the comments below, and let's bring it to life. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on our fun recaps. We've got lots more coming your way. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Produced by Warner Animated Recaps.